Next in.
Hey, I'm Wes. Welcome to Next In. I'm on today with Lutz Beck. Lutz, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good, Wes. Good to be here.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I'd love to just start with you introducing yourself and talking a little bit about what you do today. You're at Daimler. What's your role look like? And yeah, we'll just go from there.
All right, no problem. So, yeah, I'm the CIO of Daimler Trucks North America since basically, yeah, let's say September 2018. I'm working for the company a bit longer already. So I was located in Tokyo, Japan, before I was coming to Portland. And before that, I was working for Daimler in the headquarter, basically in Germany, in Stuttgart. I'm originally from Germany, so but as you can hear, I'm 10 years out from Germany, so traveling a bit around the world. So I had my experience in Asia, have the experience now here in the NAFTA region, right? And heading basically the IT function, doing a lot of global work as well for Daimler Truck globally. So everything what we do in terms of autonomous, of course, is more or less based out of the US. We do a lot of work on the e-mobility side, and yeah, driving also innovations in terms of data and analytics from here.
Yeah, I am curious. So you've been around the world, originally from Germany. Now you're in the U.S., but you were in Japan before.
Yeah.
What's your favorite country you've lived in?
It's difficult. It's difficult to say. I always had this question often because I think I have visited a bit around 75 countries in the world, right?
Right.
And everybody was asking me all the time, so what is your favorite country? You know, and I cannot tell you what is my favorite, because each of these countries is having a different culture, differently flavor. There is a lot of difference, right? I like to live in Japan because it was a complete different experience, right? And it's funny when you are living in a environment where you actually do not understand 80% of the day what's the discussions around you, right? Because I mean, or when you go on a normal life, your normal life, when you go shopping and you're in a grocery store and you actually don't understand what's the food about, right? You look around, you say, okay, where is simple things like butter, milk, right? You basically need to run through the whole store to look into where is it, right? Because you cannot ask. At least at the beginning, it was impossible for me to ask where is it, because as you probably know, I mean, it's difficult. People speak English, but not that much, right? They're also a bit shy, so they're not necessarily able to help you. So you basically learn to run around, and then you catch up on the important words as well. And you say, hey, where is milk? Where is butter? Where do I find and so on. So that was quite interesting to see, and I love the culture there, right? But I would not say it's a favorite. It was just a very nice experience, which I had there. I was living 6 years there, but at the same time, right, moving now from Tokyo to Portland, Oregon was an experience as well, because I mean, coming from an environment where you basically have 30 million people around you, going into an environment where you have, I don't know, let's say a million, 1.5 million, big difference. But I mean, you learn to adjust yourself. And the second thing is also, it's lovely, right? Because you have nature here. You can do a lot of stuff which you're not able to do in a big city, right? You also have a bit more a quiet environment, because just these mega cities, they are running 24/7, and you're not noticing, because you come into that same rhythm at a certain point, and you're not more noticing that you are actually running 24 hours as well. So and then you come back, and then you say, hey, it's much more quiet, right? It's lovely. You can enjoy So I take it in, and I'm enjoying to have the possibility with my job actually to see a lot of different locations, and that's a wonderful experience, because who there is not that many people who can say I had 75 countries visited already, or
Right.
had experience in that, and then working experience in whatever more than 30 countries, which is quite nice, and helps me really to adjust also, and getting all these feelings in there. So it's nice to have this experience, and I can just recommend to everyone, hey, travel and learn different cultures, because it's giving you so much for your personality. So big recommendation for everyone. Just go out, even you don't speak the language, just go out anyway. But learning the language is even better. So I learned Spanish in Guatemala and Mexico, and French, of course, was school, because I'm from Germany originally, so you have that in school as well.
Wow.
And you have all these languages, so it's just a nice thing.
Yeah, no, that's incredible, man. I think, 75 countries. I think I've been to 5, maybe 5 or 6. Yeah, I've been to Ireland, Germany, Peru, Mexico, Iraq. Yeah, 5. I've been to 5 countries.
Yeah, but it's nice, I mean, you have that, right? I mean, I had the pleasure because of the job, because I worked in Asia. So you naturally go around in Asia and you visit all the countries, right? And I had visited countries where I never thought of, right, that I will be ever there. But I had this kind of adventurous feeling already when I was in school, or better, at university. So I during the university time, I did internships in Africa. So I was three times in Sierra Leone, which is not a well-known country in a certain sense, or known for civil war and a lot of other things, right? And I was there before the civil war actually happened. But I mean, just the experience I gained there, living there basically for a few months, was incredible, because you basically saw things you would never imagine yet to see. And this was somehow triggering probably the hunger to visit more, to learn more about cultures and everything. So and then having the right job, which is giving you the opportunity also to travel around, was just a perfect fit, right?
Yeah, man. I think in terms of growing as a person, I think travel is a great perspective giver. I remember returning from the Middle East, in a very poor part of the Middle East, and just having a newfound thankfulness and appreciation for I mean, I think we forget this sometimes, but we're privileged to live in the West. We really are, and the rest of the world does not have the same standard of living, and that was a big eye opener for me. But
yeah, and it's a good thing as well, because you basically notice also what's going on in the world, and looking for the technology pieces, right? I mean, you see, hey, what kind of standards you have in the other countries, right?
Right.
And you see, hey, what is actually possible? Because I mean, at the end of the day, I had the pleasure having the pleasure also working, of course, a lot with companies in India. And we have our own location in India as well. And I was part of the setup of the plant there, which we have in South India and all that. But, the funny thing is, when you start working with these companies, right? I mean, I started working with a company in India, which at that point of time, they were having 12,000 employees, right?
Wow.
Now it's one of the global players with almost or over 300,000 people.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And looking at this journey, right? Looking at this growth and looking what they were doing, it was incredible to see all of that, right? And to notice what's going on there. And then I like to be pretty close to the startup scene. Doesn't matter in which location I am. And this is also for me quite interesting because, of course, here, US is great. There is a lot of things happening, right? I'm pretty strongly involved in Austin, and then you look to Japan. There is also, but it's a different way of, right? And it's just how you see this energy in these different locations going and how the things are moving. So that's giving a lot of learnings, and I had certainly a personal growth, as you mentioned, right, during my time in Asia, because it's just a language also, which is when you have the language like here, it's okay because you connect faster. But if you do not speak the language, so what are you doing? What do you need to do? How do you need to do that, right? And I had coming to Japan, I had an interpreter for roughly 2.5 or 3 years with me every single day, every single minute. I was not doing any meeting without her, and this was a good learning because you have someone in your ear all the time, yeah. On the same time, which is good because you listen, right? On the same time, you basically focus on the people and you try to read the mind of the people because you say, I need to figure out what they're thinking, right? I need to figure out what kind of emotions they are having, because the interpreter was never giving you the emotion. She was just very neutrally translating everything, right? And I told her once, can you give me please also a bit more what they really say, what they emotionally say, right? And not just the neutral translation, because I see they are angry, right? But you're not giving that to me. And this was quite interesting and a good learning for me, because looking just to people and looking in the faces, and then based on their expression, their gesture and everything, saying, okay, I know now they're not happy with what I'm saying, so I need to ask a bit more. Was a great learning.
Yeah, that's incredible. So you were there for 6, but you had the interpreter with you for 3. So after about 3, could you kind of get around on your own?
Well, I mean, I was able to do my private life in a certain sense, but we had a transformation journey. My task was also, when I was joining there, we needed to do a transformation, which was needed, right? And we basically had, I would say, 99.5% Japanese employees, and we what we did is basically we established English training, we established other topics, so that, I mean, global company, you need to have a common ground, and this is the language, right? You need to find something. So we did a lot of education. We also changed a bit because there were some skill set which we were not able to find in Japan, so we were looking for outside for that. So I was transforming the team, and we did education and everything. So I had, I think after 6 years when I was leaving, we had 15 different nationalities working.
Oh, wow.
Which was helping also, first of all, in the understanding, second in the language, and everybody spoke somehow. We were all not native speaker or hardly native speaker, but on the other side, we were able to communicate, and this was the best thing there, and everybody was feeling comfortable to speak English then at the end of the day as well. And this was a quite nice experience, because it was helping also in the transformation and the changing of the culture to do all of that and to globalize a bit more in the whole topic.
Yeah, no, that's incredible. Those are truly incredible experiences. So in your 6-year journey there, what did the growth of that specific location look like?
For Japan, you mean?
Yeah. Yeah, because you said 15 nationalities when you left.
Yeah, 15. Yeah. We had 15 different nationalities in the team. So I was bringing people from India. I had people from Korea. I had people from the US, people from Germany, UK, France. We had Italy in there. So we had a mix of cultures in the team. Awesome. Because what we looked at, I think we were pretty good in everything what we were doing in terms of operations. But I mean, that, right? Companies sitting on old legacy, and we needed to start we had this big data topic coming up. We were having all the IoT topics coming up. So we were somehow talking about Connect X, right? Connect X was some kind of a strategic element where we said, we want to connect everything. We want to connect our trucks. We want to connect the people and everything what we can do in the company, outside, whatever. So we worked on that, and we needed a specific skill set. So now you not necessarily find the skill set, but we have a global world, so you find this skill set globally somehow. And this is what we were looking for, and we were able to attract a lot of talents, right? We had people from South Africa also, you know, and it was a great journey, and it was good because I had bilingual people, so I had people from South Africa also speaking Japanese, right? So this was helping as well. My Japanese got better, but you know, as far as it can go when you have let me say, an hour training, a language training a week, it's not so good. I was able to order my food and all that kind of thing, and to direct taxis in the right way if needed, and all that kind of things. But else it was for business. You just need to have more time. But I found that always so amazing when you looked at some of the people, you know, when they were switching then from English into Japanese, which is a different language. You know, I think it's easier when you look at, I mean, if you English or German or French, Italian, Spanish, all good because you have some kind, but now you learn Japanese, which is having a different structure in a certain way. Yeah, the count of numbers is different and everything, but it's great stuff to learn it. And you need to adjust your brain. You need to say, okay, now I'm doing different. And I just had this morning, it was quite funny. I had this morning, was coming here into the building, and a colleague was coming, and he was basically saying good morning in Japanese to me. And I didn't recall he was actually at the same time than I in Japan. So we were basically shortly speaking Japanese, right?
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, you know, to your point, that's I don't want to derail us too much here, but the commonality between like French, English, Spanish, I mean, those are all derived from Latin, right? So there's a lot of shared characteristics. And then when you jump over to Japanese, there's no shared characteristics. It's totally different. So
correct. Awesome. Correct. And of course, how you write and all, you learn a bit, right? But you know, when I look back now, I said I should have spent more time on it. Yeah, in preparation for the job. But I mean, as it is, right? I mean, our jobs are so busy, so we're not really able to do all of that. And the funny thing was really you have that interpreter all the time. So when I did speeches somewhere, you know, you had everything here to connect to the interpreter, so you were able, you got the questions which were asked in Japanese, you got the questions and you were answering in English. So it was quite an interesting journey, and I love the energy, I love the culture there, right, to explore that, because it's actually so different. You know, when you grow up in Europe, you have all this, you know, that's some kind of flowing, you know, because it's so close, right? You cannot imagine, right? When you want to go, I was growing up in the south of Germany, right? So France is close, Switzerland is close, Austria is close, Italy is close. So you have all of that, right? You go to Spain, you go to Portugal, you go wherever, right? Now, you're not thinking necessarily you go to Asia. And then you're in Asia, you're sitting in Asia, and I had a stint in Asia before. I was in Singapore, which I always call Asia for beginners, because that's simple, right? But I lived in Singapore also for 3 years. So this was easy. So you travel around, but then you go to Korea, then you go to Japan, and you see, hey, this is really different, right?
Yeah.
So, and then, of course, now having the opportunity working here is a great thing.
Yeah, that's awesome. So let's talk about that. So as the CIO at Daimler, what is your impact and your organization's impact on the overall company? What does that look like?
Well, I mean, look, it's changing. I think it's changing over the time when you look at IT or technology, right? Now, when you look a few years back, right, beginning, let's say early 2000, right? IT was some kind, what I would phrase, support function, right? Because you had the time where you were setting up these ERP systems, right? The standards were slowly coming in. You were talking about processes, and you were talking how I can move that processes into the systems. So you were having all of that stuff. But now when you look at 2000, whatever, 12, 13, you know, things were moving in a completely different direction, because the development of technology, or what was coming onto the market, what you can do with technology, was changing extremely, right? Everything is faster and dynamic, and you can do a lot of things. Now, the IT was also moving more from a, let me say, support, right? We're supporting and enabling, into we're changing. We are directing. We are going and not just enabling. We really drive certain things. We're certainly unlocking certain opportunities, and this is the drive, the journey which you have, which I do feel is the most interesting topic you have currently in this area, right? When you work in that you have this transition from. And we had that also over the time, that you say, hey, what is a CIO job? If you look at the CIOs and the profiles of CIOs, it was also changing over the time. When you look back, CIOs were mainly coming out, really, this was the IT guys, right?
Right.
And not. Then it was changing, right? When I was in Japan, it was changing, and I had discussions there with several people on that, and I said, look, it's changing more into a business role, right? So the CIO is understanding the business, but due to the fact that he understands the technology and everything, so he's applying the best solutions. He is enabling, he's driving, he's unlocking, he's creating, he is doing. And now we come to the stage that IT or the CIO is even more into a role that I say, hey, you need to look at IT, and IT is maybe the wrong word, right? I would call it technology, whatever, but it's a revenue generator. So when you looked at IT as a cost in the past, you need to look at IT as revenue when you look today, right? So and this is the journey, and this you need to do as a CIO. You need to drive this journey, because you need to position yourself also in terms of these topics, that we say, hey, what can we do in order really to drive services, solutions? I mean, automotive specifically is in a complete disruption at the moment. We are really, the whole models will change, right? We're moving from a product technology completely away, right? We have the combustion engines still, right? And it will be still there for a while, but you have this move to electric, right? You have other topics coming in, hydrogen, whatever. But when you look at this move, that's changing the game completely. And this is all something where we need to look at now. How do we apply technology in a different way? How can we work with technology? And or my job is basically to drive this transformation. We call it also digital activation, because at the end of the day, and also driving a digital mindset. So meaning you need to change the digital mindset, is not we're using a specific technology. Digital mindset is I look at what I'm doing today and I reimagine how I could do that, and applying existing technology for enabling me to do that. And that's exactly what we need to do and what we are working towards. And this is the biggest job I have, really, to move this whole company in a certain sense in this topic, of course, with the support of all the functions. But I do believe that IT is playing a vital role in there, in changing as a change agent and changing the game here as well.
Yeah, you mentioned earlier IT used to be viewed as a cost.
Yeah.
Not a revenue generation. So how do you impact revenue growth?
Well, I mean, if you look at it, right, there is solutions. I'm giving you a simple example is we established in the last couple of years an e-commerce solution for our parts. So basically we had the part sales, but part sales was going mainly over the counter, or it was direct orders and whatever. Now we established the e-commerce solution, and we are moving more and more out of that one. And we basically, of course, you because you have that available, you have these real-time topics there, and you don't need to go to a dealership to order parts. You have all that available. So we were able to move that and of course increase in a certain sense our revenue on that one as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I can definitely see that. I mean, you removed obstacles to purchasing parts, of course. That's awesome. That's awesome. So look, when you kind of look out at Daimler, I would imagine that you have some relationship as the CIO to the data that's collected from the vehicles. What does that look like?
I mean, we have since I would say 2016, we started as a Daimler Truck globally to work on what we call connectivity and telematics solutions. So we basically collect data, as you said, right? We are collecting the data, and we're working with the data. And there is various stages now. Of course, we do know, as everybody knows, data is one of the key assets, right? And what we are driving towards is we had this discussion. It's 3 years back. I said I want to build the intelligent company. Means I want to use all the data assets which we are having, and I want to come to a point that I have a data-driven organization and decisions based on data. Right now, we established everything what is needed to do so. And now we are collecting data. We take the data also together with the data we are producing day by day, right? And then my team and of course everybody else is looking into what kind of solutions, what kind of services we can create with the data. So there are solutions which can be used internally, of course, where we come to certain points. The second thing is there are solutions we're working on, like predictive maintenance, right? Where we collect data from a truck, where we say, okay, look, we have different service events, right? Service now, service soon. So we can predict that, which is very important because we're working on the uptime of the trucks for our customers, and that's an important step. And we are, of course, together with our partners in that sense, with the dealers, with the customers, we are establishing solutions and services which are helping each party basically to improve and to be better.
Nice. So I know that security is a big issue when you talk about data collection. How have you approached as the CIO security in terms of like user data?
I mean, we of course have everything established. When you look at the data itself, we have a data catalog, right? We have constant reviews in terms of regulations which are coming up. What do we need to do in data privacy? There is Europe, everybody knows this, the GDPR, the data privacy topic in there. Here it's the same thing. And we are of course following the standards. We're looking into that basically daily and looking what we need to do. And then we have consent forms. We have everything what we need to do. So that's a priority for us, of course, to make sure that we are following the regulations and the rules which are given.
Yeah, I know. I can imagine for those that are operating, like especially the semi trucks, there's an incentive for you guys to get all the data you can get, because like you were saying, we want to keep the uptime of those trucks, because those trucks go down, money goes down.
Yeah, exactly. And we do that. We work with our customers, with our dealers on this topic, right? Because we need to make sure, right, that we are driving good solutions and good services, and that's our aim. So we're working together with them, because at the end of the day, it's all the data. We have, of course, what can we use, what can we not use, how we do, and we need also to work with the data in a different way. But the strength which we are having is that we also able to combine data with everything what we are creating on our side.
Right.
And with this combination, we succeed to build services which are valuable for our customers. So that's the biggest topic what we have. We need to create value for our customers, and and that's the target, right? With everything, not just the product itself. The product is one portion, but everything else we want to basically enabling them to do better business and creating also more value for them.
So I got a couple of questions for you that are a little more speculative, a little more fun, kind of the things that I like to think about when I think about the world of autonomous vehicles. So you're at a company that is on the bleeding edge of this push for semi-truck autonomous vehicles and trucks. How far out do you think we are from wide scale adoption? Totally speculative.
I think that's guesswork, right? I would say I think nobody knows exactly, right?
Yeah.
The thing is, look, what we can say, and I mean this is known, right? We're working together with Torque on this topic, right? And we have, of course, trucks running on our test tracks and looking into that. I mean, this like everybody else, right? And there is work to do, like you can imagine, and there is a lot of data collection to do in order to do so. And there is a lot of things what we have. We're working with Waymo as well, as everybody is public knowledge. That we're working with Waymo here as well. But when, I do believe it's guesswork, specifically because I do believe there is still also some regulation work to do around this whole topic. We are of course pushing, and we are doing our topics on the technology side. Certainly, we are moving ahead, but it would be too much of guess to say.
Yeah. I like
whatever years. I do believe there is certain things which we need to look at, and this is certainly in the air, which we need to see. For sure, if you look at the movement to electric and sustainability points, right, it's certainly something where we also push significantly as well. Because that's important, and we have an important role in here as well. And here you will see certain push as well. There is, if you look at the passenger car side, which is a bit away from the truck now, but it doesn't matter, right, which OEM it is on the passenger car side. They all have their strategies outlined now for going electric in whatever the next 5 years, the next 10 years, whatever, right? So and we will certainly see some movement on the truck industry here as well, to do so. And we also will see some solutions which are coming, or services which are coming with that, because it's important, of course, where is the most value to use electric, and so on and so on. So that's certainly something which is coming, and where we already pushing, and where already we have trucks delivered to customers which are using them on the electric side.
That's awesome. Do you think, in your opinion, do you think that autonomous vehicles, specifically autonomous freight trucks, will always have an operator present and be more of like an augment capability, or do you view it as like a replacement capability?
I think it's depending how you say, right? There will be an operator anyhow, somehow, right?
Right.
It doesn't matter if it's now on the truck or if it's remote, right?
Right.
But I do believe there will be an operator somehow, because you need some steering, you need some looking. I mean, and then you need to see, hey, where do you use it, right?
Right.
Is it you might have distribution points, and then you do it, but I do believe there is still for the time being, we will have operators on there. Yeah.
Cool.
For now, right? Because at a certain point you will get rid of it, right?
Right.
But as I said, this is all from a timeline point difficult to say when is coming what, right? And what does it mean actually?
Yeah. Look, man, I've driven with a trailer, like just personally on my personal truck. Yeah. And I guarantee you there are autonomous vehicles that can handle a trailer a lot better than I can. So
yeah, I but you have the experience, right? Driving with a trailer. Now, when you need to back up with the trailer, right? You know how difficult that is, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And this is all topics which you need to keep in mind there, right? I mean, this is when you back up with the passenger car, right? It's easy because there is usually you don't have anything, right?
Right.
Maybe you have a camper sometimes, and then it's already a bit more difficult. But backing with a trailer on and makes it a bit more difficult.
Yeah, there's a lot going on there. Well, look, I always like to wrap these up when I'm talking to executives with book recommendations. So you're a CIO. You're a big proponent for digital transformation within your company, and I'm just curious, man, if you could recommend a couple books to maybe somebody that was, I don't know, let's say a decade behind you in their professional development. What would you recommend?
It's difficult, right? Because at the end of the day, I'm not more. It's actually I switched now because it's difficult for me to read books, and because of timing. So I'm having Audible on my phone, so I'm basically listening. Whenever I do something, when I do sport, I'm listening to books, right? Now, and the list is long, so I'm having at the moment a book which is called The Metaverse. I'm listening to Unicorn Project, that stuff, which I basically I'm listening to Competing in the New World of Work, right? That's also something which I do as well. And then I have Leadership is an Art. Yeah, so that's topics which I currently have, right? But it's changing, and the good thing is, what I would recommend is, hey guys, take something like Audible or whatever, because you have all the books there, and you can actually listen to that. For me, this is great because when you're on the plane, you listen. You listen a book, and it's easy, right? When you're on the treadmill, you can listen a book. I like to do that, and this is giving me a lot of opportunities. I need to cut down a bit because at the moment I have roughly 8 books which I listen in parallel. So I need to bring that a bit down because I think it's too much. But these books I would say are currently on my list.
So the leadership, when you said it's Leadership as an Art.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Leadership is an art, yeah.
And the Unicorn Project, that one sounds intriguing.
Yeah,
what of those are you enjoying the most?
Well, I'm enjoying the Unicorn Project. I'm enjoying, and I had the pleasure to the author Gene Kim. We had just data days here at Daimler Trucks North America, and he was here. He was talking to our colleagues, so this was quite interesting. And I like to have to look at sometimes at leadership books, right? Because it's interesting. I had two of my managers. They were doing some kind of a leadership training here in the Northwest, right? Which was basically across, with different companies involved and so on. And that's interesting, because they were coming back, and they basically, it's a 9-month training, and they had to read, I think in total it's 26 or 27 books which they are walking through, and it's all about leadership. And they were coming back to me and said, hey, look, this is what we noticed, and this is what we see on you, and whatever. So it's a nice thing, because at the end, leadership is a big topic, right? Specifically now with the transformation from the traditional IT means cost into, hey, IT is a revenue generator, can be a profit center as well, right? So with all this transformation, you need extreme strong leadership. So and that's something where I do feel that we have a huge opportunity, and that's the reason why sometimes you just read and say, okay, what is it? Because we never arrive, right? We always learn. And that's a simple principle I'm applying all the time. So I don't know everything, right? and I'm happy if I can learn something, and I'm learning every day. And with books now, with the possibility to hear them, it's even better, and it's even easier.
Yeah, man, that's a very common refrain. And to be honest, because I didn't ask you before the podcast if you were reading, but I know almost 100% of the time, if I'm talking to a C-level executive, they're reading something. And in your case, you got 8 books going. So
yeah, I awesome. think it's important, right? You need to get that rolling. You need to look at it, right? And I'm reading also a lot of topics about consciousness and all that kind of things, because that's just important for us as well to see that. And maybe also due to my journey, right? I like this people business, right? When you work with people, when you know people, how do I know people? Because you have conversations, but they are mostly on a higher level. So how I get deeper? What can I do, right? Because at the end of the day, we all wanna make sure that our people feeling the best, and then they're able to also do quality of work, and this is what we are aiming at. And so you need to work a bit more, and we need to learn a bit. Okay, how we can do it, because there is a lot of different generations, and you work with the people in a complete different way. And that's what is the great stuff on it. I have two kids, and and I notice when I'm talking with them, how different it is, and how you work, and how to do. I mean, they hardly talk to me on the phone, right? They write a message or whatever, because this is their way of communication, and it's okay. I mean, this is how we need to learn, and I think that's the important stuff. And then also working with the startup communities, it's helping me also to learn in a complete different way. And no, it's great. I'm happy to do, and it's different for everyone, because everyone gets from a different base. But because you asked the books, I think these books which I'm reading are quite good.
That's good. I'm always collecting recommendations, so I'm definitely going to go find the one, Leadership as an Art, for sure. Yeah. And then the Unicorn one sounds intriguing to me.
Yeah, Unicorn is a great book.
Awesome. Well, that's our time for today. Lutz, I've really enjoyed chatting with you, man, and I hope you've enjoyed it as well.
Yeah, you're welcome. It was fun to chat with you.
Absolutely. Now there's like this awkward pause. Jamie's going to end it.
Next day.